Hey guys, you found part 2. If you're just starting here, there is a part 1, so go back to the assignment sheet and for the analysis review notes and click part 1. Okay? And then when you're done, if you want to go through the slides at your own pace on that assignment sheet, I've also linked the slides without my voice or my head. Okay? Alright, so I wanted to just remind you about introductions and conclusions in a rhetorical analysis essay. These need to be on the topic of the passage you read, okay? It's not about you. It's not about your argument or your opinion or counter arguments or anything like that, okay? So one of the things that you can do is you can start with a shocking quotation or statistics or even just an interesting quotation. You can start with a statement of the issue or the topic. You can tell us a very short anecdote. Maybe we're analyzing a speech that was given by a president after a hurricane. Maybe you want to tell us briefly, in 1 or 2 sentences, a vivid image about a hurricane survivor. But in any case, it needs to be on topic and it should not be argument mode. Okay? Use the past elements to help you fill out your introduction. And then in your thesis, answer the prompt directly. Conclusions, short, sweet, to the point. Try to get that style point by keeping a clincher that matches the hook. So if you opened with a quotation, perhaps close with one. If you opened with a rhetorical question, consider closing by answering the rhetorical question. So these are places to not spend a lot of time, but if you have the time, use them to earn the style points, okay? They're basically like little tiny packages that you can fill with style. And you should definitely do that if you have the time when you're finished with your body paragraphs. When you are using your textual evidence, in rhetorical analysis, what is the evidence? The evidence comes from the passage, and it's evidence of the rhetorical choice that you've noticed. So if you're focusing on the author's use of rhetorical questions, you should be quoting the rhetorical questions in the passage. Okay? Don't forget, quote as little as you can get away with. Do not quote multiple sentences at a time. It's not going to serve you well. It'll be hard for you to pinpoint your focus for commentary. Keep things grammatically correct. We've covered how you can change quotations for grammatical correctness. And we've also covered how you can take material out of the middle of a quotation so that you can focus on what you need. Do not stack direct quotations. Don't give me a quotation, period, quotation, period, quotation, period. Where's your voice? Your voice needs to come after that textual evidence and give me the analysis and explanation. If you're paraphrasing, that's also just fine, especially if it's an example or a long description. You're welcome to paraphrase. Some final reminders here. You're not arguing. You're not taking a side. It's not really about you. It's about the other writer. It's about what he or she was trying to do and how he or she did it. So for that reason, try to avoid I. It's not going to be a huge problem if you do, but it's not needed here because your focus is on the other writer, not on you. 2 deep and thoughtful body paragraphs is a lot better than 3 average ones, okay? So I always say 2 to 3, and people, I know that causes you anxiety that I won't tell you exactly, but it depends on what you do in those paragraphs, right? So you may need 3. But given your shortage of time, I encourage you to make 2 excellent ones. My dear, lovely perfectionists, do not be paralyzed by perfection. See me looking at the camera right now? Right at you? Alright. Write a complete essay, and if time remains, add or revise. Aim for completion. Okay? And again, when in doubt, you can almost always analyze tone, examples, great speeches almost always have repetition, so keep your eye out. And you can also analyze the appeal to emotions. This may make some of you remember, but wait, hold up. Where are my rhetorical appeals, Ray? Alright, real talk about rhetorical appeals, my friends. Yes, ethos, pathos, and logos exist. The AP readers don't like them very much because students don't often do a very good job with them. Of course you can analyze them. You've got to know what they mean. Alright, so yes, they exist. Here they are, my dear friends. So, where should I put my big head, people? I'll put it up here. No, let's put it underneath the stop sign. That seems like sort of appropriate. Alright, ethos is the author's credibility. The author reveals relevant experience. The author brings out shared values with the audience. And in doing so, they become persuasive. Okay? It is not ethics. They just sound the same. I really encourage you to actually throw these Latin terms out the window. Don't talk about ethos, pathos, or logos. Talk about an author being credible or sharing values. Talk about the audience feeling a specific emotion. And then talk about the specific logos, cause and effect, etc. But we'll get to that slide in just a minute, okay? So here, the phrasing you should go for is the author establishes or builds or demonstrates credibility. Throw ethos out the window. You don't get points for a fancy Latin term. And if instead you can remember these phrases, establishing credibility, demonstrating credibility, you're going to be reminded of what it is you're actually talking about. And you're more likely to do a better job analyzing this, okay? So with ethos, we're going to be showing instances where the author has given us a reason to believe him or her, okay? So I'm going to pause real quick and take off the video so you can see all the text. Okay, that should do. So you can see that the textual evidence is proof of the author being credible. Usually this is the author talking about their own experience, or maybe the author citing research. And we have both of these types of ethos in this paragraph. The author shows her credibility by showing her knowledge on the topic, and also personal examples. But more importantly, when the author tells us these things, how does it make us want to believe him or her, and therefore be persuaded by him or her? So the types of commentary sentences are going to be precisely similar to this example. For example, citing these sources boosts her credibility by showing she has done her homework. By proving that she has sought out and understood other people's educated opinions, the author demonstrates to her audience that she is not the only person making the argument. The personal investment creates shared values with the audience, making her appear reliable and relatable. So, you're welcome to use ethos. However, use it with caution and remember that it's credibility, and it's usually established with personal experience or shared values. Alright, this is a fan favorite. Y'all love to write about pathos, and it's great because almost every really compelling thing that we read written by someone else makes us feel something, because that's why it's compelling, right? We feel a strong emotion. We feel anger, sadness, sympathy, pity, guilt, inspiration, whatever. So, if we're going to do this, let's make sure we do it right. Pathos is the Latin word. I encourage you to talk about how an author makes the audience feel, fill in the blank with the emotion. So, in such and such passage, the author makes the audience feel guilty. Okay? So let's throw out the Latin word, and let's always remember to name the specific emotion. Now, here's where you can see how the things we analyze overlap, because lots of different features of a text can make us feel something. Examples: narrative, a story. Diction, which is its own category to analyze, can also make us feel something. Figurative language, repetition. So you might decide, there's a couple of cool instances of word choice, but I don't really want to analyze diction. So maybe I can talk about the emotional impact of that word choice. So the key to analyzing pathos is that we make the following moves. We specifically tell in our essay what is happening in the passage. The author is using narrative to make the audience feel what. So let's go through this template. When the author highlights a narrative of the young person's loss of their first love, the audience is made to feel sympathetic because. And then you explain how that story about a lost love makes the audience sympathetic. Then we continue with our explanation by saying something along these lines. Making the audience feel this way helps the author's argument, and briefly paraphrase the argument. So for example, making the audience feel this way helps the author's argument that our first love is our most memorable because, and then we explain. So you've got to tell us what emotion we're feeling. All right? Let's take one quick look at logos. Here's an example of pathos. And again, I've coded for you the textual evidence in italics and the commentary or analysis in bold, so you can see how the commentary for pathos tells us what the audience feels. So in this paragraph, specifically, the audience feels empowered. When JFK says, "Now the trumpet summons us again," he creates an image of heaven that makes the audience want to take action. That's the feeling inspired and empowered. In our other piece of textual evidence, JFK makes his audience feel empowered again when he says, "For man holds in his mortal hands," that's right here, "the power to abolish all forms of poverty and life." He's telling the audience that the choice is up to them. And of course, that is empowering. All right? Last but not least, logos. So, throw the Latin word out the window. Tell us what the text is doing specifically. The author uses statistics. The author uses examples. The author uses cause and effect. The author uses comparison. Okay? So, rather than just throw logos out there and have it be this kind of giant amorphous object that you're analyzing, get really specific and tell us exactly what rhetorical strategy the author is employing. Okay? And then when we analyze these specific textual strategies, we prove that they occurred in the text. So, for example, we are going to quote or paraphrase the cause and effect explanation. And then we're going to explain how or why that cause and effect explanation is persuasive or effective or helpful to the author's purpose. Okay? And, of course, I left you with a sample logos. And I love this one because many writers use examples, right? Most of us use examples when we talk or when we converse. And so knowing how to analyze examples can be really helpful. Okay, so this is it, guys. This is your overview. fill out your guided notes. Go back if you need to, alright?